It's good to be here with you. But I guess just to kind of jump into what we've been doing and where we're at on the campaign and how things are going. We've since we first started about a year and a half ago looking to run against Senator Bai, right after the last election, I guess, really, and started looking at who's going to challenge Senator Bai, because for several reasons, we needed to have a strong ticket from top to bottom, so that way we win the House back here in the state of Indiana. And knowing how crucial that is, so we have the ability to draw the district maps and to not only have it'll be easier to draw congressional maps and that sort of thing. Is it better to have somebody running against Bai, or is it somebody to just kind of leave him alone and not wake a sleeping giant, that sort of thing? And as we started talking to people, and I felt that it was better to have somebody challenge him, and that way if there's somebody that wants to vote a straight ticket Republican, it pushes 2 or 3% towards the House races, and maybe just that little bit is going to nudge us over and win the majority. And I never expected to see what is happening in Washington right now, and how President Obama and the House and Senate majorities, Democrat majorities, are pushing such an aggressive agenda and doing what they're doing today, and how they continue just to charge forward and push forward with their agenda, and which I think is going to, unfortunately in a bad way, is going to be beneficial to us, because they are being they're being successful so far. But at the same time, I think that we have a great opportunity as Republicans to offer that alternative to them, and what they are producing and what they are providing in leadership, going back to the Republican values that is what makes the Republican Party. And so as we started talking to folks, started to talk to friends and to people down around the state, we believed that it was important that somebody challenge Bai. And then as we moved into the session last year, and then the campaign, we hit the road, and we traveled now probably almost I think we're pushing 23,000 miles around the state, and visiting all parts of the state, and then to get to this last state session, and we're working through session one morning. I'm going into a committee meeting, ready to present a bill in committee, and somebody shows me, their BlackBerry says that Evan Bai is retiring from the U.S. Senate. It's like, this is a joke, trying to concentrate in that committee was pretty tough for me to do. And so as soon as I got out, ran back out and had to go to another committee hearing, and talked to several folks in the hallway as well, and they said, it looks like Senator Bai is retiring. He's got a press conference to announce that he's retiring. And before all of this, we saw that he was becoming more and more vulnerable as time went on. We saw his approval ratings dropping off. I mean, he was up around 60 some, almost pushing 70% approval about a year ago, and his approval numbers just started dropping off drastically. And we felt that. We saw that out in the field and on the campaign trail as we were talking with people. And then we, they did Rasmussen did a poll and says that Mike Pence would be beating Senator Bai, and that John Hostettler and myself were within striking distance. And so that alone started to cause problems for our campaign, because all of a sudden now, instead of, go get him, Marlin, go get Senator Bai, go after him, all of a sudden he is beatable. And now it's like, we got to take this very, very seriously, which we saw that all along. And as I tell people, we were running against Senator Bai before it was cool, and then now we got, quite a few in the race, and other people who even were considering running against him as well. And so as we found out that Senator Bai was retiring, and then there for a bit we thought Mike Pence was going to jump in, and then he didn't. Todd Rokita was thinking about jumping in and didn't. And then Senator Coates is now in the race. I think it's a good thing for our party. I really do. And I hear it often with the candidates that are in, it's like, we've got good candidates who are running. And I think that that's good for us as a Republican Party. When pundits were counting us down and out, and that conservatism was dead about a year ago, here we are, where we could win Joe Donnelly's seat, Brad Ellsworth's seat, Barron Hill's seat, and win Senator Bai's seat. I mean, who would have thought that a year ago today? And now here we are in a great position to send somebody to Washington who I consider myself a fiscal conservative, strong on social issues, strong on national defense, and we need transparency and accountability in our federal government. One of the things that I've seen here in this state, and it's great to be a part of, along with Matt Bell and so many others, Tim Berry's been a part of that, is to watch Governor Daniels lead in tough economic times. When you look at the states around us, you look at Michigan, you look at Illinois, Ohio, which, by the way, they all have full-time legislatures as well, so I would keep fighting for a part-time legislature. And they are sinking in red ink when we have turned around, since '04, $1 billion structural deficit, back payments that we owe to schools and to local governments. We've turned all of that around into a balanced budget without raising taxes. And that's the type of leadership that we have here in Indiana that we can be proud of. And that's the type of leadership we need in Washington, who is going to take the same principles, the same values, and understand that you can't borrow, you can't tax, and then keep spending, because that's what they're doing to our country. You know, my kids are 8 and 4, and we were traveling one day back from going shopping. We were on the toll road, and I forgot my iPass, and I don't always carry cash on me, and so I looked over at Christy and I said, you know, you have any cash on you? I need to borrow some cash to get off the toll road. And she quickly reminded me that I don't give her any cash and that she didn't have any on her. And so I said, well, you know what, Peyton, our 8-year-old son, he's got 20 bucks in his wallet in the back seat. I said, grab Peyton's money. And the look that she gives me is like, you know, how dare you take Peyton's money? And I said, you know, I'll even pay him $1 for inches by the time we get home, you know. And But what that reminds me of is that that's what our federal government is doing to us. They're taking our money, they're taking our children's money, and they're taking our grandchildren's money, and they're spending it without a plan to pay it back. 1980, we had $1 trillion worth of debt in this country. Today, 30 years later, they just increased the debt ceiling to $14 trillion. And you know, I think we get kind of numb to when they throw these millions, billions, trillions of dollars around. But just to give you an idea of what the difference is, a million is 12 days worth of seconds. A trillion is 30,000 years worth of seconds. That's the difference that we're talking about here. And to pass that on to our kids, I believe is immoral, because we are not going to give them the same opportunity that we have for economic success and economic freedom in this country. I believe that we need leadership in Washington who are willing to take and make those difficult cuts. 20% of the federal budget goes towards the military. 20% of it. 13% of it goes towards the interest on the debt that we have in this country. Just think what we could do with that amount of money if we wouldn't be borrowing so much from other countries, from other folks and other entities to pay for programs that we don't, and the liabilities that we have on top of that debt is another $50 to $60 trillion more. And so I think that this is an opportunity for us to take the same success that we have had here in Indiana and send it to Washington. And I think that's what the people are looking for. This is not a Republican problem, a Democrat problem. We have an American problem right now. And if we don't get things turned around and get conservatives who are willing to make those tough decisions in D.C., we're in for a lot of trouble in the future. So I believe that the Republican Party is the ones to get the job done. I believe that our campaign and our candidacy is the campaign that we're asking for your support, because we believe that we have a proven record at the state level already. I'm not Washington, but I'm not inexperienced either. And the success and the proven record that I have in Indianapolis, working alongside so many other great conservatives in Indy, is what I think people are looking for in smaller government, more efficient government, one that gets out of the way. I mean, government doesn't create jobs. It's the private sector that creates jobs. And if we want to have a public sector, we have to have a strong private sector. And the only major job growth today is in the public sector and in government. And you know, the average salary at the federal level is $70,000. I mean, things are just out of control. And so I would ask again that you consider our campaign. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. I'd be glad to take any questions, and I don't know what the format is